Okay, so hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to learn APIs. Okay, how we can use API in JavaScript. Okay, how we can fetch the data from API. API means Application Programmable Interface. Okay, so what API does? API bring the data from the backend and deliver that data to the front end. So what's the mean of API? What is API? Okay, so API is bringing data from backend and giving to the front end, right? It gives data to front end, right? If someone changed the backend, if someone changed the backend data, if backend data changed, okay, if backend data has changed, means what will happen? Means front end data will also change, right? Front end data will also change. So front end data is depend on the backend. If data is coming through API, means whenever backend data will change, the front end data will also change. Okay, try to understand here. Okay, suppose there is one backend, okay, and API is bringing data from backend, okay, and it is giving to the front end. Okay, if suppose backend people will change the data, means the front end data will also change, right? For example, you see on Amazon or Flipkart, every day products change. Okay, new products comes. So they don't create new design on front end. They change the data on back end, and then front end data automatically change through API. Okay, because data is coming through the API. API is bringing data from back end and giving to the front end. If back end data changed, means front end data will also change. Okay, I hope you are clear. So in last video, we have discussed about asynchronous functions, like set timeout and set time interval. Okay, set interval and set timeout we have discussed. Okay, so note one thing. Note sometimes. Okay, we can say API is same as asynchronous functions. Asynchronous function. Okay, APIs also take time to bring data from backend. Okay, so if you are writing JavaScript code and if you have synchronous task and asynchronous task, okay, you have synchronous task as well as asynchronous task. So JavaScript will give preference to the synchronous task first. Later it will execute asynchronous task. Okay, so API is also what? Asynchronous task, because API takes time to bring data from the backend. So API also takes time to bring the data from the backend, right? Okay, note one more thing. We will understand this through code as well. Don't worry about it. So I'm just giving you theory so that you have a clear idea. Okay, sometimes what happens? Sometimes APIs fail to bring data. Okay, from the backend. Okay, from the backend due to no server response. Okay, we can say no response from server, or we can say data isn't available. Okay, or maybe some other tech issue, right? So what happens? It is not sure like every time API is bring the data from the front end. It is not possible. Every time there is no surety like your API will bring the data from the backend. Sometime what happens? The server may down. Okay, and sometimes like that data is not available anymore available on backend. Okay, so this could be the reason where API can fail. Okay, suppose I'm giving you an example, real life example of API, so you can understand. For example, there is a biryani shop. Okay, a biryani shop is there. So one customer visit to this biryani shop. Okay, so it is saying what it is saying: give me biryani and cold drink. So on biryani shop, they have only biryani. There is no cold drink available. So what they will do, what the owner will do, he will call one Chotu. Okay, this is what API. It will tell to the API, please bring the cold drink for the customer. So it will go to the another shop and it will bring cold drink from that shop. So biryani shop owner will serve biryani as well as cold drink to the customer. But that cold drink was available on this biryani shop. They took from someone else. Okay, and used for their customer service. Okay, so like that, API acts as Chotu. You can understand Chotu means like a small person, a small child. We can say API acts as a Chotu. If something isn't available, that means it will bring from another shop and fulfill the customer requirement. Sometime what happened? Suppose cold drink shop is closed. So in this case, API can't bring the data, right? Suppose cold drink is not available. So in this case, also API can't bring the data, right? So sometimes API fails to bring the data from the backend, right? For example, if we talk about Zomato, so on Zomato you see one Google Map. So that Google Map is coming from API. Okay, so what API they are using? What Zomato people using? Zomato people using Google Map API. Okay, they didn't create their own map. They used the Google Map API and customized that API and put it into their application, right? Same for like Rapido also use Google Map API, okay, and customize that API, like customize, like they will change the color, they will change the icons like that. So API is customizable, right? So if something is not there, for example, you are creating one project and if you want to add external resources to your project, so you can use API for that resources, right? So this is what API. Okay. Okay, let me tell you more about API. Okay. So API is what? API is basically programmable application programming interface. Okay, application programming interface, right? Okay. So API will have an end point which consists data. Okay, which consists data. Okay, so API has one endpoint. Endpoint, like for example, I'm writing here www.amazon.in/mobile. Okay, /mobile. So this is what mobile is, one endpoint. So it will, this endpoint have some data. Okay, so when I type here www.amazon.in/mobile, so means our mobile data is coming. So what is endpoint? This is what, this is one endpoint. Okay, /mobile, this is one endpoint. Suppose I'm writing here www.fakestoreapi.com/products. Okay, so if I will click here, so you can see this is also product is also an endpoint, but why it is not coming? Okay, let me search. So there is a website called fake store API. Okay, /products. Okay, /products. What we have written here? Okay, products. Okay, so products. So when I press enter, what will happen? Okay, it is bringing data. Okay, this is some JSON data available. So this is what endpoint. This is what endpoint. So API will have an endpoint which consists data. So this endpoint mobile consists data. Okay, and here if I remove this www, then it is bringing data. Okay, so means this product's endpoint has some JSON data. So these are what API endpoints, right? So the API is created by backend. Okay, created by the API is created by backend. Okay, and used at frontend. Okay, so backend developers develop the API. Okay, with the help of backend technologies, we create what API, and that API used by the frontend developers. Okay, in order to bring the data from the endpoint. Okay, so we can say it is the bridge. Okay, this is what it is, what bridge that connect front end with backend. Okay, so API is what? One bridge which connect front end with backend. Okay, you can understand this is API is what? Bridge which connect front end with backend, right? Okay. So for example, if I want to fetch the data, through API, suppose I want to fetch this product data, this JSON data I want to fetch. So what are the methods are there? So what are the methods we can use in order to fetch the data? So how we get the data? How to get data from API? Okay, how to get data from API means, so we have two methods. Okay, so we have two methods. One is old method. Okay, second is what? Default method or new method. Okay, so what is old method? Old method is we used we use which we use XML HTTP request. Okay, this is what older method, XHR. Okay, XHR is nothing but XML HTTP request, right? So this one is what older way. So what is the new way? What is the new way? So new way is like fetch method. Okay, fetch method. Fetch method is what? A new way to fetch data from API. Okay, so we can say browsers by default have a method called, what's the method name? Method name is fetch. Okay, fetch. Okay, to manage API, right? So what fetch returns? Okay, so it could be a detailed lecture, so don't feel bored, because if you understand the concept, then easily you can call the you can like call the data from the API. You can bring the data from API easily. So it's important to understand the concept first. Okay, so you have to note few points like fetch. Okay, fetch API returns a promise. Okay, it returns what? One promise. Promise can be fulfilled or rejected. Okay, promise can be fulfilled. Okay, for example, if I'm doing some project, sorry, if I'm doing some promise to someone, means I can fulfill that promise, okay, or I can reject the promise. So there are two possibilities, right? So if promise is fulfilled, means data came. If promise is fulfilled, means data came. For example, I asked to bring data from this endpoint. If promise is fulfilled, means data will come. Mobile's data will come. If here promise is fulfilled, means this product data will come. So if we will use the fetch method, means it will return one promise. Promise can be fulfilled and rejected. Fulfill means data came. Okay, we will see in real time how data will come. If promise rejected, means data not came. Okay, if promise rejected means data will not come, right? For example, let me open my VS Code. Okay, so here let me write boiler template, and here I am writing what? API, right? And I will link my JavaScript, but let me create one JavaScript f.js, right? And here I will link my JavaScript and SARS. Okay, I will link app.js. Okay, let me write one alert to check whether it will work or not, right? Okay, right. So what I will do, I will click here, go live. Okay, and it is opened my HTML page, and it is showing hello alert message, means our JavaScript linked successfully. But what I will do, I will use another browser. What is that browser? That browser is Chrome browser. I will open it on Chrome browser. So here I will open. So this message is coming. Okay, good. So far so good. So here what I will do, I will fetch data from API. So how can I fetch? Okay, for example, I'm creating one function. Okay, my function name is data. Okay, my function name is data, and I'm calling this data. Okay, I'm calling this data function, right? And what I will do here, I will write here fetch method. Okay, and what data you want to fetch? So I want to fetch products. Okay, so what I will write, I will use one API, fake store API I will use. Okay, so what is the link? Fake store API.com/product. Okay, so this is what one endpoint. From here I want to fetch the data. Okay, this is the data. So what I will do, I will just copy this URL. I'll copy it. Okay, and I will paste it here, right? Okay, then what I will do, I will write here then. If data came means what I will do, this then will take one callback function. Okay, and here I will print what? Response. Okay, so it will bring response. Okay, so if it is printing this, okay, let's see what we are getting. Okay, are we getting response or not? Okay, so what we have to do, we have to go to the console, inspect and console. Okay, so we are getting response. Inside the response, okay, so we are not getting data. Okay, so we are not getting data. So in order to get the data, what we will do, we will write here, then we will write another then, and here what we will write, we will write data. And this data should be converted into what? JSON, response.json. Okay, this response should be converted into what? JSON. And here I will say print the data, console.log, print what? Data. Okay, so this data is what? Converted data. Okay, so this fetch is returning one response, and that response we are converting into JSON, and that JSON data we are printing using console.log. Okay, so see, this data came or not? So we are getting data or not? Okay, so this data coming from this endpoint. Okay, from this endpoint our data is coming. Okay, so when you press Ctrl Shift J, you can go to the console tab and you can see our data is coming, right? Okay, suppose if data will not come, then I can write one catch here. Okay, what I will write in catch? Error. Okay, console.log and print what? Error. Okay, make sure when you are writing this then and catch. Okay, so here you cannot write semicolon. Semicolon means it will say it is ending here, but actually this is not ending here. This all ending here after catch. So we cannot write semicolon after that. We don't want to end the line. If we will end the line, means response we will not get. If we will end here, means we will not get the data. Okay, and if we will end here, means we will not get the error message. So we should make sure we are not putting semicolon here and here, right? Okay, so this data is coming from the API. Okay, so in the next video we will discuss how we can create. So this is what data. This is a product data. You can understand. So we have a product name, means category description. Okay, image link we have, and price we have. So in the next video we will see how we can design a product website, and we will fetch the data using API. Okay, that API we will use in the next project we will create in the next video. Alright, so thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any doubt, you can write comment, and if you understood this, you can write your code in comment box. So it will be a motivation for me that you are learning. Okay, means this video is useful for you, so you can write comment. Okay, in comment you can write your code, you can paste your entire. So thank you everyone for watching this video.